In the old neighborhoods of Karachi, there was a lane perpetually shrouded in dust by day and darkness by night. At its end stood a weathered two-room house, its roof dripping when it rained and its walls blackened by damp. Here lived Nazreen, a simple yet soulful young woman, and her frail mother, Begum Shamim. Nazreen was barely 18 or 19 when life quietly pushed her beyond her years. Dreams shimmered in her eyes, but poverty cast a haze over them. Each morning, she rose early to gather vegetables with her mother in their tiny kitchen garden. Each evening, Begum Shamim carried those same vegetables to market to sell. But in these times of rising prices, even 2 square meals felt like miracles. Ached in Nazreen's heart. Seeing her mother's bent back and trembling hands, she would often steal away to weep. "O Allah, grant my mother a life of dignity," she prayed nightly before sleep. The women of the lane whispered among themselves, "Did you hear? So-and-so's daughter went to Saudi Arabia. Look at the money she sends home. Her mother just bought a new fridge." Another would say, "Aisha even found a husband there. Now she lives in a proper bungalow." These words felt like barbs to Nazreen, but when she glanced at her mother's weary face, a storm rose within her. One evening, as Begum Shamim sat exhausted on the doorstep, rubbing her aching feet, Nazreen asked, "Mother, how long must we live like this? Will we never see the life meant only for the wealthy?" Her mother managed a tired smile. "My daughter, what is written in one's fate is what one receives. Be patient." "But mother," Nazreen insisted, "patience is necessary, but so is effort. If other women can go to Saudi Arabia, why can't I? I can go. For your sake, for our sake." In her daughter's eyes, something fierce and unbreakable shone. Begum Shamim saw it, and her own eyes welled with tears. Fear wrestled with pride in her heart, but she could not quench that flame. That night, sleep eluded Nazreen. She lay on the roof, gazing at the stars as if they touched her dreams, and the moon as if it guided her path. One question circled her mind. Can I truly change my destiny? Can my fortune gleam? Can my mother live a life of honor? The next morning, Nazreen was uncharacteristically silent. Her mother asked, "Are you well?" "Yes, mother. I've made a decision." "What decision?" "I'm going to Saudi Arabia for work." Begum Shamim's glass slipped from her hand. "What? My dear, have you lost your mind? Do you know what happens there? How many girls have gone and never returned?" Nazreen clasped her mother's hand. "Mother, good and bad people exist everywhere. But if I don't try, we'll always live like this. I want you to rest easy, to live under a leak-free roof, to eat without begging." Her mother's eyes filled with tears. She feared for her daughter, yet she recognized that Nazreen's resolve could not be stopped. That day marked the moment Nazreen's simple life set out on a journey of daring and sacrifice. What lay ahead was unknown, but there would be no turning back. Early the next morning, she sat again on the roof, tracing the lines of her palms. Faces flooded her mind. Those who once mocked her endeavors, who insisted that only in films do poor women dare to dream. But Nazreen knew, no more dreaming. Now she must wake and make those dreams real. She recalled the neighborhood girls who returned from Saudi Arabia like enchantresses of another world. Gold chains around their necks, the scent of expensive perfume beneath their veils, a silent aura of otherness. They were called the Dubai girls or the Saudis. One day, while buying vegetables in the market, Nazreen saw Shagufta, her former schoolmate, in a branded abaya, stepping down from a car with a modern smartphone in hand. "Salam, Shagufta," Nazreen greeted. Shagufta paused, surprised. "Oh, Nazreen, you're still here." That single question struck Nazreen like an arrow to the heart. That night, instead of sleeping, she leaned in her room's corner, the uproar in her soul refusing to be silenced. "Mother, I must go. I can't waste time. I've learned of an agent who legally sends women to Saudi Arabia. I want to meet him." At breakfast the next morning, she found the courage to speak. Begum Shamim set down her teacup and said, "My child, your father dreamed this dream too, but his dreams died with him." "Mother," Nazreen replied, "my father's fate was different, But I don't only want to show you dreams. I want to fulfill them. For a moment, her mother studied her, then bowed her head. She knew by now that Nazreen's decision could not be swayed. With a trembling hand, Nazreen retrieved an old notebook and began writing down everything she had learned. Which agent could be trusted? What is the visa process like? Which cities do Pakistani women go to? Above all, what dangers must be avoided? That day, Nazreen first felt herself set apart from ordinary girls. Her step grew steadier, her voice more assured, and in her eyes shone a light that surprised all who saw her. When her relatives learned of her plans, their taunts flew like arrows, but Nazreen held her head high. The journey was just beginning, and this time, her destiny would be hers to claim. Your father's gone, so what? Will you go out there and get a job now? What will people say? The same people who were busy stripping us bare, Nazreen answered quietly in her heart. That night, she climbed onto the roof. The sky was impossibly clear. She raised her hands and prayed, "O Allah, if you have something better written for me in my fate, then show me the way. I am tired. I cannot endure any more." After that prayer, a strange peace settled in her heart, as though she suddenly knew that something great was about to happen. From then on, she began reciting the Quran every day, performing istikhara, and with each passing moment strengthening her resolve. Perhaps destiny willed it so. The girl who once worried over a single meal was now confronting her fate head-on. In Nazreen's heart, only one thought echoed, now or never. A few days passed, and Nazreen felt a new energy coursing through her. She kept that old notebook with her constantly, as though it bore witness to her dreams. Its pages were no longer blank. Instead, they were filled with the agent's address, crucial instructions, anecdotes of others' experiences, and heartfelt prayers. Each day, her mother's silence, the neighbors' stares, and life's cold indifference only made her stronger inside. One evening, draped in a blue shawl, she went to meet a woman in Sadar, Karachi, known as Khadija Appa, rumored to have just returned from Saudi Arabia. Khadija Appa welcomed her into a small sitting room and served tea. "Beta, so you want to go to Saudi?" "Yes," Nazreen replied. "Look, work there isn't easy. From dawn till dusk you labor. Whether you're paid on time or at all depends on fate too. And above all, preserving your dignity is the greatest test of all." Nazreen met her gaze with unwavering determination. "I only want to go for my mother's sake. I can endure anything, so long as her life becomes easier." Khadija Appa was silent for a long moment, then said, "There's an agent, Nassim Bai. He's honest, and his paperwork is clean. If you wish, I can introduce you." That was the moment Nazreen had been waiting for. Her heart raced. This was her chance. The next day, she went to Nassim Bai's office. In a narrow lane, she found a small office, and he sized her up from head to toe, as if measuring her seriousness. "Beta, do you have an ID card? What's your education? Have you ever traveled abroad before?" "No, but I'm eager to work," she answered. Nassim Bai closed the file and said, "Very well. If you're selected, you'll depart within a month. It's all legal, but there will be some expenses. You'll find a respectable household near Mecca with a Saudi family." Nazreen agreed instantly. When she left the office, the sun was setting, but on her face shone a strange light, the glow of someone about to seize her destiny. Back home, she told her mother, who was stunned. "So you really decided?" "Yes, Amma. Everything's arranged. There's no turning back." Begum Shamim fell silent. Tears glistened in her eyes, but behind them was a hidden spark of pride. "Beta, you are very brave. Just keep up your prayers, stay connected to the Quran, and never trust anyone's intentions blindly." That night, Nazreen climbed to the roof again, looked at the sky, and spoke quietly. "O Allah, I am going. If my intention is right, make this easy for me. If not, stop me. But my heart says the time has come." She spent the rest of the night preparing her few belongings, clothes, some money, and that small notebook whose pages no longer held words but dreams. This journey was more than a trip to another country. It was an inner battle, the beginning of proving herself. The journey of a girl no one ever took seriously, now determined to shatter every silence she had ever faced. It was the dead of night, and on the roof Begum Shamim lay propped on her pillow, gazing at the sky. The familiar hum of Karachi drifted up. A distant motorcycle's roar, children's muted laughter in the alley, and the echo of the Isha call to prayer from a faraway mosque's loudspeaker. Inside the small room, Nazreen sat quietly in a corner. She had told her mother, yet a new fear stirred within her, not of leaving, but of breaking her mother's heart. She knew sending a daughter to a foreign land without a father's protection, exposing her to the world's questions, could never be easy. Emmy, Nazreen whispered softly. Begum Shamim, eyes closed, simply answered, If I don't go, will we ever escape this life? In Nazreen's voice, there was only truth, no reproach, just a question. Begum Shamim opened her eyes and looked at her daughter. You are my child. As you are accepted. I need no comfort or honor. I only need you to be safe. But Amma, Nazreen moved closer and sat beside her. What does being safe even mean? To pause before lighting the stove each morning? To console myself with water instead of medicine? To watch you grow weaker while I stand by helpless? That's not safety. That's slowly withering away. Her mother took Nazreen's hand. Her fingers were so thin now, bony as a skeleton, and touching them filled Nazreen with a chill. How much time was truly left? That question pricked her heart like a thorn. My child, I don't want to lose you. You will not lose me, mother. Each day, I will leave the house having prayed for you. Every day, I will work looking at your picture. I will read the Quran daily so that Allah protects me. And every month, I will send you money so that you never have to go to the market selling vegetables again. Mother fell silent. In the room, only the sound of our breathing remained. Nazreen laid her head in her mother's lap. Mother, you have faith in me, don't you? Begum Shamim gently ran her fingers through Nazreen's hair. I have faith. You are my daughter, and you are no less than any man. For the first time, Nazreen felt that her mother's prayers and her permission were both with her. That night, she opened her notebook and wrote a new page. Mother has said yes. Now I'm not alone. Now with every step come a prayer, a sacrifice, and a faith that accompany me. The next morning, after Far, Nazreen rose, performed ablution, and for the first time sat outside the mosque. She knew women did not enter, but she simply sat by the door, silently conversing with her Lord. O Allah, keep me in your safety. Place my mother's face before my eyes every moment, so I do not stray. If I grow weak, remind me of her bent back. If the world's temptations come, let you dwell in my heart. That day Nazreen went to the market and sold the last pieces of jewelry her mother had set aside for her dowry. Her mother tried to stop her, but Nazreen said, Mother, the real jewelry is you. The rest is just metal. And so Nazreen began to complete her paper journey. She did not look back, neither in intention nor in faith. On her feet was prayer, in her heart her mother, and in her eyes that spark, the spark of those who set out to write their own destiny. It was as if Karachi's very air had changed. With the dawn call to prayer, the wind carried a different vibration. Nazreen stood at the lane's final corner and drew a deep breath. This was the same lane where the graves of her childhood lay buried, where her dreams first learned to fly, and where each evening she had sat for hours with her mother on the rooftop staring at the sky. Now, that very Nazreen was on the verge of departure. The agent's call had come. Arrive at the bus terminal tomorrow at 5 p.m. All the paperwork is complete. Your flight is next week. Nazreen switched off her mobile and sat on her bed, opening her notebook. On the last page were just 3 words. The journey begins. She retrieved her old bag, few clothes, the Quran, her mother's photograph, and that notebook. She knew this was all she had. As she zipped it shut, her mother stood quietly by the door, watching. Child, have you left nothing behind? Her mother asked. Nazreen met her gaze. Yes, one last thing. She knelt, touched her mother's feet, and silently placed a pinch of their dust into her bag. What is this? Her mother asked. A blessing, mother. Wherever I go, your shadow will be with me. The next day at the terminal, Nazreen felt a strange restlessness. She waited at the point the agent had specified. Two other girls joined her, Rabia, 22, fear plain in her eyes, and Samreen, who checked her watch every 5 minutes. Nazreen greeted them, but only silence answered. Then a black car rolled up, the windows lowered, and a slim man stepped out, his face expressionless, his eyes wary. "Nasim Bhai?" Nazreen asked hesitantly. "Yes." "You're Nazreen? Get in the car. The other girls will travel with me, too." Inside, the car was silent. Outside, Karachi buzzed on, but inside lay a cold stillness, as if an unknown storm pressed near. Nazreen looked out and saw the same city, but it felt as though the city itself turned its face away from her. "Where are we going?" Rabia whispered fearfully. "To the agency's house," Nasim Bhai said. "You'll stay there a few days, then I'll take you to the airport." Samreen exchanged a glance with Nazreen. They both felt the unease. The road led out of town, darkness growing around them. In her heart, Nazreen began reciting Surat al-Falaq. Suddenly, the car came to a halt in an empty field. Nazreen's pulse raced. "This place?" she asked, but Nasim opened the door. "Get out. This is our camp house." A small concrete building stood in nothing but darkness. No guard, no sign, nothing. Nazreen stepped out, clutching her bag, recalling her mother's face, her mother's prayers. "This is a test. Do not fear. Allah is with me," she whispered. Inside the camp house, they were assigned a single room, a thin sheet on the floor, a rattling fan overhead, and a tiny washroom. Nazreen sat on the sheet and looked at Rabia, who now trembled. "Is this all right?" Rabia asked quietly. Nazreen took her hand. "We will be fine. Trust in Allah. Stay alert. Believe not everything, only the truth." That night, Nazreen stayed awake, gazing at the ceiling and softly reciting Surat Yasin. She had no idea that the next 7 days would test her faith, patience, and courage more than anything before. Her eyes fixed on the ceiling, she still chanted when a loud knock echoed at the camp house door. "Get up, get ready. The flight is tonight," a harsh voice rang out. For a moment, Nazreen's heart skipped a beat. The time had come. The moment she'd been waiting for all these days was about to become reality. She grabbed her bag, kissed her mother's photograph one last time, and stowed it inside, then hurried out. A white van was parked and waiting. Nazreen, Rabia, and Samreen were ushered inside. The windows were tinted black. The outside world was invisible, but the fear in her heart was crystal clear. Rabia kept repeating the kalima under her breath, while Samreen's silence echoed like a scream all around. Nazreen tried to stay calm, yet inside her heart felt frozen, neither melting nor warming. After hours on the road, they arrived at Karachi airport. As she stepped out of the van, Nazreen looked up at the sky. A hazy moon hung on the horizon. She prayed inwardly, "Oh Allah, just keep my honor intact. I accept any hardship that comes." Immigration, checks, paperwork. It all moved so fast Nazreen felt as if she were dreaming. When she reached the boarding gate, her heart trembled truly for the first time. The airplane gate stood open before her, and her legs felt like stone. "Come on, Nazreen. You can't go back now," she told herself, and with slow, steady steps she climbed the stairs. Once seated, her breaths came in short gasps. Outside the window, Karachi airport lay bathed in lights, the city she was leaving. She gazed out one last time, as if bidding farewell to a beloved. The moment the plane took off, her heart jolted. Rabia took her hand. "Everything will be okay." Nazreen managed a small smile and nodded, though tears shone in her eyes. 5 hours passed, each moment stretched like a century. Then an announcement crackled through. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to land in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia." Nazreen's breath caught. This was the place where the pursuit of dreams began, or where they shattered. When the doors opened, Nazreen stepped out, and the warm, arid, sand-scented air greeted her face with a new reality. "This is no longer your city, not your land, but this will shape you now," she thought. The airport was magnificent, yet everywhere Nazreen felt alienation. Arabic voices, veiled women, stern-faced men. Everything foreign, unfamiliar, colorless. An immigration officer glanced at her passport with a questioning look, then stamped it. Ruhu Yala. Outside, a man held a placard reading Nazreen +2. He waved them over, and they climbed into his car. The vehicle crossed the city limits and now drove along a highway flanked only by road, desert, and glinting cars. Nazreen looked out and recognized the land she had dreamed of, but today it felt ready to swallow her whole. About 2 hours later, the car halted before a large white house. 2 guards stood at the gate, which opened automatically. A woman in a long abaya stood waiting, her face harsh, her eyes merciless. She glanced once at Nazreen and snapped in Arabic, "Bring her in at once." There's no time to waste. Nazreen was led inside. A maid locked her in a small room. No window, no breeze, only a cot and a ceiling fan. She sat on the cot, opened her bag, took out her mother's photograph, kissed it, and pressed it to her chest. From here on, it's either success or nothing at all. At 5 o'clock the next morning, a loud knock reverberated on Nazreen's door. "Yala, get up. Shughul, Shughul. Hurry up. Work, work." The voice snapped like an arrow, and Nazreen startled awake. For a moment, she could not place where she was. Then her eyes fell on her mother's picture in her bag, and her heart raced. This is no dream. This is the reality I chose. She dressed quickly and stepped into the hallway, still not fully wudu-ed, when the mistress stormed out, shouting in Arabic, shoving her toward the kitchen. "Breakfast must be ready in 2 hours. If you're even 1 minute late, I'll throw you out." Nazreen nodded silently and set to work. Scalding water burned her hands, steam stung her eyes, sweat soaked her clothes. Each moment she felt like a prisoner. Yet the truth was, this imprisonment had been her own choice. As she carried the breakfast into the drawing room, her eyes met those of a young Arab man seated on the sofa. White robe, light beard, and a gaze so intense it seemed to tear through her. Nazreen lowered her eyes, but his stare clung to her like a second skin. "Is this the new arrival?" he asked the mistress in Arabic. "Yes. She's Pakistani, here to work. She looks frail, but she'll learn quickly." His eyes continued roaming over Nazreen even as she placed the tea down. Her curves, her hands, the rose flush on her cheeks, all become objects of his scrutiny. "What is your name?" he asked in English. Nazreen's lips trembled. She barely found her voice. "Nazreen, nice name." Very soft, a mocking smile touched his lips. He did not laugh, but his eyes said everything. Nazreen turned and hurried back to the kitchen, but his gaze pursued her across the room. In the kitchen, her hand shook. Her heart pounded. "Oh Allah, who was that? And why was he looking at me like that?" No one had told Nazreen that the mistress's son lived here, or that he took a particular interest in the new maids. At midday, as Nazreen washed dishes, the young man reappeared in the doorway. "Can I have some water?" He was motioning with his finger for her to hand him the water jug, but his gaze, as if he were peeling away her body. Nazreen held the jug out, but instead of taking it, he gripped her hand and held it for a moment. It was an instant, yet Nazreen felt as though someone had set her entire being on fire. "Be careful," he whispered, then walked away. Nazreen's breath caught. She sat down on the floor and buried her face in her hands. "This is only the first day, and I'm already breaking? No, this is not the life I came for." But the question echoed in her heart. Am I really safe? That night, she lay on her bed, staring at the walls. She opened her notebook and wrote one line. "Everything here glitters, but my heart is steeped in fear." People do not see a person, they see a body. By the next morning she had resolved, I will not bow. I'm not weak. And if anyone tries to break me, let them remember, I am the Nazreen whose dreams were written in blood. She did not yet know. The next day would become the most terrible day of her life. Nazreen's second day in Saudi Arabia was not much different. Waking at dawn, the kitchen's fiery heat, the mistress's bitter voice, and constant vigilance. But what had changed were the looks. With each passing hour, Nazreen felt she was no longer merely a maid. Every angle of her being, her stride, the movement of her hands, even the sweat on her brow. Everything had become the target of someone's gaze. Especially one person, the mistress's son, Zaid. He was a quiet man, but his silence carried danger. There was no riot in his actions, yet his presence itself was a roar. Wherever Nazreen went, he found some pretext to be there. One day, while she was hanging laundry in the courtyard, Zaid sat on the couch, scrolling his phone. Nazreen lowered her eyes and continued working, but she could feel someone breathing behind her. The scorching heat, her scarf slipping again and again, and the sensation of a stare, none of it was anything less than torture. "Is this weather too harsh for you?" Zaid's voice came suddenly from behind. Nazreen jumped. "No, it's fine," she said, then quickly gathered the clothes and moved inside. She knew this was no coincidence. A few days later, an opportunity came when Zaid tried to cross the line. It was late at night. Everyone had gone to sleep. Nazreen was washing dishes when suddenly the lights went out. In the darkness, she heard footsteps. She froze. Then the door creaked open and a shadow entered. "Who is it?" Nazreen's voice trembled. Zaid's voice answered. "The light's gone. Are you scared?" "No, I'm just working." In the dark, Nazreen fell silent. The same jug she used for water was in her hand. She decided that if he took one more step toward her, she would strike him in the face with that jug. Zaid laughed. "Relax. I just came to see if everything's okay." He left, but Nazreen felt he had dropped something behind, a poison spreading silently with each moment. The next morning the mistress gave her an abaya. "You will wear this at all times, even inside the house." Nazreen asked in surprise, "But why?" The mistress shot her a sharp look. "That is the rule. This is a home, not the market." Nazreen understood. Something had happened. Perhaps Zaid's gazes had reached her mother's ears. Or perhaps it was just a woman's sixth sense. She donned the abaya, hiding herself further, yet the stares did not lessen. Gazes are not stopped by clothes, but by intention. Sometimes she opened her notebook and wrote one line. "Behind every door lurks a danger. I have locked every door, but the keys lie in another's hand." One day, while cleaning, she entered the lounge to find Zaid watching a film on television. He set down the remote and said, "Tonight everyone has gone out. It's just the two of us here." Nazreen's feet froze. Her heart quivered. Zaid stepped closer. "If you wish your life here could be easier." Nazreen met his eyes, even if only for a moment. Then she stepped back and quietly said, "My life may be hard, but my spirit is not cheap." And she turned and walked away. But she knew this was not the end. This was only the beginning. If Zaid failed to keep his word, would he take revenge? Would he conspire against her? Now surrounding Nazreen were not just work, exhaustion, and gazes, but a circle from which escape would not be easy. It was the last watch of the night. Nazreen lay alone in her room. The fan spun slowly, and light and shadow played silently on the walls. Her notebook lay open, but she could write no words. Words filled her heart, but both pen and tongue lay still. Zaid's words still echoed in her mind. "Your life could be easier," and Nazreen's reply resonated again in her heart. "My spirit is not cheap." But Nazreen knew a man like Zaid is not used to hearing no. The next morning sun brought new news. Nazreen was busy cleaning when the mistress called her. "Fix your attire and come with me. We have a guest." Nazreen adjusted her abaya, draped her head with the scarf, and silently followed. But when she stepped into the drawing room, her heart stopped for a moment. The man seated on the sofa was not Zaid. It was another man, around 40 years old, a serious face, an expensive watch, and in his eyes the stillness that precedes a decision. The mistress said, "This is Haji Sami, a businessman, an acquaintance of ours. You have impressed him." Nazreen forgot to blink. Impressed? What did that mean? Haji Sami spoke in a quiet tone. "I have seen you. You are quiet, modest, and very special. I want you to become my wife." The room's atmosphere shifted instantly. Nazreen lowered her eyes, neither yes nor no. "Look, girl," Haji Sami continued, "my first two wives are busy with their lives, children, family. I want my home to live. You will lack nothing. A house, a car, servants, everything. The mistress interjected, "And this is the best opportunity for you. Everything will be given to you with honor." A tremor ran through Nazreen. The fire she had been fleeing was now wrapped in golden cloth and presented before her. That night she returned to her room, bolted the door, and sat on the floor. Am I here only a body? Will my work, my prayers, my intentions all be buried with one yes? She opened her notebook and wrote, "Today I was given a choice, or perhaps a chain." She was granted 2 days to decide. Haji Sami would return to take her answer. But the next night something happened that revealed the truth behind this offer. Nazreen was walking from the washroom back toward her room when she heard Zaid's voice on the phone. Yes, they're giving her to the Haji. But she won't stay many days with him. He knows that too. Just a few months, then do whatever he wants. His men are everywhere. Nazreen's soul shook. This is not marriage, it is a bargain. A marriage that will serve as a legal shield, but in reality, it will be just a beautiful shell inside. Only pray. That night was the longest of Nazreen's life. Her prayers mixed with tears, and the verses of the Quran moved from her heart into her bones. O Allah, show me the way, either to leave with honor or to fight with patience. And then morning came. Haji Sami returned. What have you decided? He asked, sipping his tea. Nazreen drew a deep breath and said, I did not.